Well, hello everyone, and welcome back. We continue our look at what I consider to be the most peculiar places in America. Uh, the counties in this country that never voted for Ronald Reagan, either in 1980 or 1984, but turned around in 2016 and 2020 and voted for Donald Trump. Just a fascinating set of places. The next state we have to look at is the natural state, the state of Arkansas, which is, of course, the home of William Jefferson Clinton and Paul Bryant. A very important state that produced a proven winner um, in Coach Bryant and a very crafty and gifted politician in William Jefferson Clinton. Um, so, Arkansas, as you can see here, uh, now it's a very red state. It is almost solidly Republican. It's one of the most Republican states in the country. But that has not always been the case. Like many southern states, it was once a solidly Democratic state. But its turn away from the Republican Party has been a little bit slower than some other states. Up until 2014, Arkansas had a Democratic senator. And up until 2011, they had two Democratic senators. Um, they've had a Democratic governor very recently. Um, from 2007 till 2011, they had a Democratic governor. So Arkansas is one of those states that has changed, and until very recently, they had, um, I believe, a majority Democratic congressional delegation. Um, so Arkansas, while Republican, its shift on some level has been less than other southern states, but now the switch is totally complete. Five counties in the state fit this description. You have got Clark, which is right here, Hot Springs, Lincoln, Jackson, and Woodruff. One thing I'll note about these counties is, as you can see, with the exception of Lincoln over here, they're all connected. They're all kind of together. So we've seen that with Alabama. Jackson was kind of over here hanging out by itself, but the others were connected and very close in range. And I think that really has to do with the polarization that we've seen more broadly of like-minded political people kind of isolating themselves together in groups. You want to live around people who vote like you. So, let's take a look at Arkansas overall in 1980. Reagan won 48.13% to Carter's 47.52%, a victory of just under 1 percentage point, very close. The population was 2,286,435, according to the 1980 census for the state of Arkansas. Let's take a look. Carter won Clark County by 36%. He won Hot Springs by 30.84%, Jackson by 18.6%, and Lincoln by 33.10%, and Woodruff by 33.22%. The populations were 23,326 in Clark. Hot Springs was 26,819. Jackson was 21,646. And Lincoln was 13,369. And Woodruff was 11,222. The 1st Congressional District, which included Jackson and Woodruff counties, was won by Carter by 8 percentage points, 52 to 44. The 4th Congressional District, which includes Clark, Hot Springs, and Lincoln, was won by Carter by 14 percentage points, 55 to 41%. And these areas of the state were Carter's, where he was going to make up ground in that state if he was going to win it. He obviously didn't make up enough and would lose the state. But these were some of his better performing areas in the state. 1984. Reagan would win the state of Arkansas again, but by a much larger percentage points. He would win it by 22.18% of the vote. So he crushed it in 1984. Mondale would win Clark County by 5.12%, Hot Springs by 1.80%, Jackson by 1.72%, Lincoln by 12.78%, and Woodruff by 10.11%. The 1st Congressional District, which was Jackson and Woodruff again, Reagan would actually win this time. He would win it by 14 percentage points. And the 4th Congressional District, which of course is Clark, Hot Springs, and Lincoln, would be won by Reagan by 12 percentage points. So Reagan improved his performance in the state dramatically, and really cleaned up in Arkansas, and even in those counties he did much better than his 1980 performance. In 2016, Donald Trump competed against the former First Lady of the state of Arkansas, Hillary Rodham Clinton, who served as First Lady of Arkansas during the governorship of her husband, former Governor and President William Jefferson Clinton. I almost made a boo-boo there. Trump won it by 26.92% of the vote in Arkansas, so huge victory for Trump in Arkansas. He would win Clark County by 9.19 percentage points, and the population of Clark County, according to the 2010 census, was 22,995. He would win Hot Springs, Trump would, by 42.6%. The population was 32,923. He would win Jackson County by 32.66% of the vote. The population was 17,997. Trump would win Lincoln County by 31.45%. The population was 14,134 people. Woodruff County, Trump would win by 8.90% of the vote, and the population was 7,260. The 1st Congressional District, which now includes Jackson, Lincoln, and Woodruff, Clinton would win. Trump would win by 35%. The 4th Congressional District, which is Clark and Hot Springs, is almost a mirror image. Trump would win that by 33%. So, let's take a look now at 2020. And Donald Trump would win Arkansas this time by a bigger margin. He would increase his margin in Arkansas, but not as much as Reagan increased his in 1984. But I want to say it's very close to, nope, much bigger. Trump would win Arkansas by 27.62%, so slightly increasing his 2016 performance in his victory. The population, according to the 2020 census, for Arkansas is 3,011,524 people. Trump would win Clark County by 14.4%. So, big improvement there. He would win Hot Springs by 48.7%. Jackson by 43.77%. Lincoln by 43.99%. Almost 44% he won Lincoln by. And he won Woodruff by 27.75%. And I had to double check that because that's a huge improvement over his 2016 numbers. The populations were, this is not the official number, this is the 2019 estimate, was 22,320 for Clark, 33,771 for Hot Spring, 16,719 for Jackson, 13,024 for Lincoln, and 6,320 for Woodruff. So Woodruff had a pretty steep population decline between the two censuses, almost exactly 1,000 people. Just under 1,000 drop off there in Woodruff. So that might explain the huge bump for Trump in that county. The 1st Congressional District, which is Jackson, Lincoln, and Woodruff, was 69% for Trump and 28% for Biden. Trump won it by 41%. The 4th Congressional District, which is Clark and Hot Springs, is a similar story. Trump wins by 38%. So, as you can see, over the years, Arkansas has moved further to the right, and these counties that we have been studying, you see the same thing. They didn't vote for Reagan either time, but the trend was becoming apparent in all of them that we've looked at so far. I think that the big thing we're taking away from all of this is, to me at least, is these counties are usually clustered together and they're suffering, somewhat of a downward trend in population from the 2010 census to the 2020 census. It looks to me like the Great Recession took a toll on some of these places. Now, granted, some of them were already voting Republican before 2016, but I think that's one of the things that I'm noticing so far is definitely that they're clustered together, and that their suffering population declines. So we will endeavor on. I believe the next state we will cover is Colorado because I don't believe there's anywhere in Connecticut. I'm going to have to look at it and make sure that there's none in Connecticut. So I will see you all then when I venture back on here and discuss this with y'all. Have a good night.